Hello, and welcome to Wise Wednesdays with Melanie Morrison. Today, we are talking about a topic that is really near and dear to my heart. So, we're talking about divorce and self love, essentially, financial independence and having enough self love to feel empowered. So that when we are in a relationship, we know we're in that relationship because we want to be there, not because we don't feel like we can get out. So initially, I posted this topic, talking about the big question of many women, do they stay in abusive relationships because of fear of leaving the relationship, but also fear of maybe they can't provide, maybe they have kids that they're providing for, or maybe they're not working at all. So the point is, we want to be empowered to be in the relationships that we want to be in because we are making that choice because it's a good relationship and it's healthy for us, which is huge on self-love. To be in a relationship that is not healthy for you, that you're not thriving in, that's not good for your family, that is perhaps abusive, is so detrimental to our well-being and to our family. So if this really touches base with you, feel free to come on in and comment. You can go on StreamYard and it allows comments. But I'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts. So I know a lot of my work is usually around spiritual work, but the reality of spiritual work is we have a lot of amazing spiritual entrepreneurs that still really battle with the idea of money being possibly not a good thing. We also have a lot of empaths that are ready to kind of just drop and help anybody, which sometimes kind of gets us in those sticky situations because we're so wanting to help. We're so wanting to be there. So if you resonate with this, we'd love for you to pop in and connect with us. I'm going to invite my beautiful friend, Adrienne Grace. She has so much work to share. She works specifically with divorce and financial independence. Now, it doesn't have to be just divorce. I mean, a lot of times we can get in relationships and they're really healthy, but we're kind of lacking in the feeling empowered because of our relationship with money and how it creates a power dynamic with our partner. So I'm going to bring her in now and just kind of let her connect with you and introduce herself and her work right now. Hey, I gotcha. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to dive deep in this one. If you want to just share a little bit about you and how this became your passion.
Hi, yes, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be with you and with your community. I am women's wealth advocate. That is my heart. That is who I am. I've done everything in financial services. I mean, really, from opening up a teller drawer. Does anybody even remember when you used to go to a teller and actually get cash, money that you can hold in your hand? Through management and done everything else. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm an investment professional, and I'm a certified divorce financial analyst. I've been both divorced and widowed, and I've traveled that long journey and come out the other side into joy. And it is my passion and my pleasure to help other women do the same thing. So I love to talk about what most people don't like to talk about, and that's money. It doesn't come in pink and blue. It's just green. Somehow or other in our culture, we came to this idea that boys do this better than girls do. And I will tell you, having been an investment professional and the only woman in a room full of men for many, many years, they don't. That's our secret. Women are generally just as good, if not better, as men are at managing money. But sometimes we let our heads get in the way and we think that we're not as good. And so we aren't. Now, it's not rocket science, as we all used to say. And now we have women who are in rocket science. Isn't that great? So if you have ever wondered how to talk to your honey about money, even if your honey is just yourself, then sit back and let's talk for a little bit.
Well, I personally, if you don't mind me kind of shifting the topic a little bit, I'd like to just touch on my experience with this and why I feel so passionate about it. Um, I personally was in an abusive relationship. I kind of went to from like a bad upbringing, and it was very abusive, and I felt like it was really natural for me to get into an abusive relationship. So but what I wanted to add is I remember like one of the main things that um that when I went to get help with like domestic violence and learning about the process, and there was a program there, the one of the first things that they would say, okay, well, you need to create an exit plan. And part of creating the exit plan was to gather your finances, to gather your birth certificates, all of this important information, including like if you had immigration papers. But to just when you ask yourself, you stop in a moment, you're in an abusive relationship, and you think, well, maybe this is too abusive to stay in. Definitely, I feel like one of the key red flags is if you don't have any of that information. If you don't have that information, you don't have the power to create an exit plan, to pick up all of those documents that you're going to need in the future and to go. So I'm really grateful that we're talking about finances, because finances is such a huge key to feeling empowered to leave if you need to. So, but in the meantime, I would love to also discuss people that are in great relationships, but maybe they do need to kind of step up and uh, be able to have those conversations, just for the sake of feeling empowered.
I'm right there with you. Oh, that's so many layers to talk about. But I often work with women when they're thinking about leaving a relationship. And you can think about leaving a relationship without having to be actually in physical danger. There are many levels of violence, there are many levels of abuse, and sometimes it's just an unfulfilling relationship. But women are often stuck staying in that lack of fulfillment because they don't have the confidence that they can leave and be able to take care of themselves on many levels, financially being one of them. So I often tell my clients that learning about your finances can help you feel empowered to leave if you feel like you need to leave. It can also empower you to stay and be a better financial partner if that's the right way for you to go. Oops, wrong words. If that's the right way for you to stay. Um, I was in a marriage probably 15 years longer than I should have been. And like many of you, the time wasn't right to go. But when it was right to go, I realized that there was a lot of information I needed. So the first step that I say towards empowerment of all of us, wherever we happen to be in our relationships, is to get control of your money. Now, how do you do that? Okay. For many of us, it's a very stressful issue. So if that's the case for you, I suggest that as you're about to embark on getting your finances together, just sit down for a moment. See if you can find a quiet minute or two and just take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. You can do this. And what I've often found is that what people fear, what you make it be about before you know, is often worse than the actual reality. Then, once you've composed yourself, then start to get all your financial information together. Now, what is your financial information? Well, it's a really long list. And if you were going to go through a divorce, I would have you send me an email to Adrienne at adriennegrace.com, ADRIENNE. It's right there. And I would send you a list of all the data that you need to have. But basically, what we start with is gather everything that you have. Credit card statements. This is such a good time of year to do that because you've just gotten a notice by email or in paper, if you still get that kind of statement, that your year-end summary is available. All the information you need is right there. Credit cards, bank accounts, retirement accounts of all kinds, the W-2s that will show what you earn and what your partner or your husband or your your mate of whatever kind earns, whoever you share your finances with. All of that information is right there for you. This is the time to sit down, gather it all together in one place, and write it all down. So, what we want to know is what you own, what you owe, what you earn, and what you spend. So, that's a listing of, we would say, all of your assets. That's your house, your car, not really household stuff, but anything important. You'd know what it is. List what that is all worth, important stuff. And then, so that's what you own, then what you owe. And that's going to your mortgage, your car loan, your credit cards, any other debt that you have. Don't forget college debt. Don't forget student loans, because that's like kind of, I call it a mortgage on your brain. And it lasts for a long time, and you can't walk away from it. So that's important to know about. If you're in a committed relationship, it's important to know this information about your partner as well. If you share a bed, you may share a bank account. And if you do that, then you need to know all this information for both of you. What you own, what you owe, what you earn, that's either on a 1099 or a W-2, and you've just gotten them in the mail, like last week probably. And the same thing for your partner. What you own, what you owe, what you earn, and what you spend. So, do you do all your spending on a credit card? Do you do your spending in cash? Do you use a debit card? Do you write checks? However you do that, do you use Mint? Do you use one of the online tracking things like Quicken or Mint? However you use it, now is the time to pull up those yearly summaries of all those different things and write them down. The goal is to find out, which you probably already know in your heart, or probably in the pit of your stomach, if at the end of every month, at the end of the year, do you have something left over, or are you in the hole? Just knowing is power. Being empowered is knowing what to do about it. And that's a bigger conversation than we can have right now. But the most important thing is to get a handle on it, is to know. If you know what you have, you know what you have to work with. If you know that there are bank accounts, savings accounts, retirement accounts of any kind, if there's any money that you can get to, you can know that you may have the freedom to be able to leave if that's important to you right now. If you don't need to go, then you know what you have and you can be a full financial partner. Does that resonate with you? Does that sound like something that you can do? If it makes your stomach hurt, that's good. Then you know you need to do it.
Oh, I love that. Yes, if it makes your stomach hurt, then you know you need to do it. That makes so much sense. Like when I actually worked with domestic violence and within the company. So after I left that relationship, I ended up coming back and working within the domestic violence agency so I could give back. And a lot of what we would talk about is just little gaps, people who fell through in the industry. So like when we're trying to serve people. And a big part of it was women who were affluent, or at least they appeared affluent, because there were all these programs, these financial programs that would help you if you didn't have any money, and you could show that you don't have any money. But then these women were oftentimes being controlled around money. And that's really where the abuse and the control kind of seeped in. But it was so easy to do because people were unaware. So when they went to get help, it was like, well, you make plenty of money, you can do this. Well, you may make plenty of money, but you have no control over the finances. So while you can make money on paper, it's you need to be able to know that you can use that. So I love that you're bringing that in. Also, I think I really enjoy how you say stop and breathe and look at this and feel into it, because I feel like when people are in abusive relationships, they can be, or I mean, it doesn't have to center around abuse, but just in difficult tumultuous relationships, if that's a word, tumultuous, that they are often in a high state of anxiety. And so, one more thing to add to the anxiety that they already feel because they're in a chaotic relationship can just feel like it's too much. So I have somebody that popped in here, Facebook user. I guess they didn't they didn't plug into StreamYard. Unfortunately, unless you plug into StreamYard, I don't get to see you on here. But it says what you own, what you owe, what you earn, what you spend. Such a great practice at the beginning of the year. Even if we aren't looking to leave a relationship. Yeah, I like that, because even if we're not looking to leave a relationship, it's just really important to feel empowered in your relationship. I mean, we don't always talk about that. Even all relationships have a balance of power. And if that relationship, the balance of power shifts dramatically, it's going to affect people. I mean, if you look at like the relationship status that people go through, like the troubles that they go through when they get money, like they talk about people are like winning the lottery, or when people go through like financial struggles, like they talk about that being the greatest issue of divorce. It's clear that the balance of power and money is really important to finding a harmonious relationship. Did you have any extra?
Yes, certainly. And I don't want to give the impression that the only time that you want to get a handle on your money is if you're thinking of leaving a relationship. Quite the contrary. Money is a tool, money is a shared asset. Okay, it's a shared resource. And how much stronger you can make your relationship if the two of you sit down and talk about what your goals are, and then make a plan to achieve those goals. Shared goals are a tremendous foundation, a tremendous amount of glue, if you will, to keep a relationship together when you have a goal that you both share and you both work towards. So if your goal is buying a house, then sit down together. What is it going to take to get a down payment? What kind of income are you going to need to support that? And make a timeline and make a commitment to how you will do that. If your goal is to take a big vacation, again, sit down, talk about it. Communication is really the best tool that we have to keep a relationship together and make a relationship more joyous and more rewarding and more meaningful if we're communicating with our partner on many levels, and finances are certainly one of those that we can do. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
That's okay. I fixed it. No, but that's a powerful relationship to have, is one where you are making goals together. And without knowing the finances or talking about the finances, there's a big miss, where you can be a team and really conquer things together in a relationship. So I want to know more about this honey talk. About the finances. Please do share a little bit about that.
Certainly. I've talked a lot about how to talk to your honey about money, and to have a money date. So I suggest that, just as I've suggested for you as an individual to sit down, be quiet for a few moments, gather yourself, and then start to work on your finances, I suggest that you set a time to have a money date. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, although if you have kids, you want it to be at a time when you're not going to be interrupted. Maybe you hire a sitter. Maybe this is after the kids go to bed, where you make a special time that the two of you will sit down and we'll talk about your goals. We'll talk about your money. We'll bring out the checkbook. We'll bring out the bank accounts and the statements, see where you are, and talk about where you want to be. So I suggest that you have a special date and time set aside. Um, if you guys like to drink wine, it's a really nice idea to have a glass of wine along the way. And remember, it's a shared experience. It's not, I hate to say homework, it's not an assignment. I mean, it is homework in that it can enhance your home, but it's a privilege. It's a joy to be able to sit down and talk together about those things that are important to you. So, step one is set aside a special time, a special place where it'll be quiet and you won't be interrupted. And you can gather your materials and be prepared ahead of time, and set a boundary that this is a time to share. This is not a time to be critical. This is not a time to be judgmental. This is a time just for free flowing information to go by.
So did you have, I thought you had mentioned having like a link that maybe we can put on after the show, and then, they can click on and kind of go through all of the steps for that. Is that correct?
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll post that after the show so that you can follow along with just a couple of suggestions. The whole point is it's not complicated, and don't make it complicated. It's just several steps to follow so that you have the guidelines, you have the guidance, and then you can go ahead and put it into place in a way that makes you feel comfortable. I would like to add that when you establish a shared goal, set certain timelines for yourselves. If you want to save for your, all financial planners, myself included, really suggest that you have a nest egg, a backup fund of 3 months of expenses in case, in case what? In case COVID happens, in case the next COVID or whatever happens, so that you have a cash, kind of a cash cushion in case things aren't working out the way you thought they would. So when you achieve that level, have a celebration. Now, I'm not talking about spending a ton of money and putting yourself back in debt for that. But when you achieve a milestone, have a celebration. Do something that you like. Go out on a date together. Go to a restaurant, have a nice meal, whatever you find that you like to do, so that you can celebrate it and it's not all work. It's not hard. We don't want it to be hard. We want it to be a part of the life that you share together, and enjoy the celebrations as well.
I love that. And I love how you're able to connect with those who are in healthy relationships and perhaps just haven't taken part of the finances simply because they haven't felt like it was a need, but then deciding that, hey, I want to take on this independence. And I think that's okay. I mean, right? It's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. So maybe initially you were like, yeah, take care of it, I'm busy. But after a while you said, I think I can help with this. Let's see what's going on so that we can, brainstorm together. I like that you're mentioning both ends of it, both sides of it, because whether you're in a very positive relationship or whether you're maybe in a more controlling, less fun relationship, it's equally important. And I think that kind of ties back to the one thing that the other thing about domestic violence awareness is that there is no stereotype. It touches uh, many different people in many different ways. No matter who you are, you don't get to opt out of that possible experience. So I think that's important too. And I appreciate your time here. I'd love to maybe connect and pull a couple cards if you're interested. But before we do that, I would like to make sure that anyone that popped on today and was like, wow, I really need some help with this being financially free and empowered, how they can get a hold of you.
My email is very simple. It's Adrienne, and you can see how to spell Adrienne right there right there below me. Adrienne at adriennegrace.com. And I would like to add that don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help in understanding your finances. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need to get out of a relationship. Often, men who are controlling will tell you things like, if you do this, I won't ever give you any money again. If you do this, I will take your children away. They may be speaking their truth. They're not necessarily speaking the truth. Please don't be afraid to reach out for help. Reach out to someone like me. Reach out to a domestic violence center. Reach out to an attorney. Reach out to a clergy person, to a pastor, to a priest, to a rabbi. Ask for help. There are many people who can help you, because not every instance of violence is a physical one. As Melanie was saying, domestic violence takes many, many forms. Not everyone suffers from it, and that's fabulous. But domestic violence can be financial and emotional and just as hurtful as physical. So if this is your situation, please reach out for help.
That's so important. So many people feel like, oh, well, he doesn't hit me, but it's more than just whether or not you're being physically hit. I think that a lot of people don't realize that. And I think I might add just one good red flag to watch out for is if you're asking for things that you need, if you find yourself always having to ask and being in that like submissive, can I have this? Can I have that? I think that's a really big red flag because you're an adult.
Yes.
Get choices, some choices on our own. And especially getting what we need is a very big choice. So, but yeah, another thing I think I would add, which you probably have in your course, is that, I think you guys, in a partnership, you need to agree on what you need to talk about. I mean, if I have to talk about spending $10, I'm not sure if I agree that I should have to ask about, but if I need to talk about, $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, then that makes a little bit more sense, making a large purchase. And I think it goes both ways. You can't have one person just blowing all their money on all this stuff that is like just for them. And then you're just stuck. Oh, well, you don't have any money left to make big purchases because they've already done it. So I think that's really important to the harmony of the relationship. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to add that if you think that moving out of your marriage is going to be the path that you need to take, then I have a course that may help you. It's an online divorce consulting course, and it's self-paced. It's 8 different sections, and you can choose how you go about doing it on your own time. It's the kind of thing where you can tune into it at 3 in the morning if that's when you need to do it, or any other time, because it's all online. It's called Divorce Academy, and I will put up a link so that you can sign up. There are 2 ways you can do it. You can either just sign up for the course directly, or I'm having a 3-day masterclass just next week, February 24th, 25th, and 26th at noon Eastern Time. And there will be another link for you to click on to sign up for it. It's free, 3 separate hour sessions that will help give you some guidance as to what you could do to prepare financially. And then it can lead into the course if that's the right way for you to go, so that you can feel confident and empowered as you may move into the next step of your financial life and the rest of your life as well.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's so funny is because I was thinking, oh, and I need to ask her about this course. So that was perfect timing. I'm so grateful that you are sharing that information. I think it's so important. And so for those listening, keep an eye out for those links. It's an amazing thing for her to be doing. I think it's going to be a great program for anyone who's even contemplating those things.
Thank you.
So so we have time to pull 2 cards. So if you want to start by pulling a card, I'll go ahead and if you want to grab your deck, whatever you're using, I'll go ahead and explain to our audience how this works.
Okay, I don't have a deck, so you'll have to draw for me.
Ooh, okay, that works. We'll do that. Okay, so basically, how this works is I like to connect with maybe what whoever's on what they may need to hear and explore at the time. So I'm going to pull two cards. I think it would be great if I pull an affirmation card and um, an actual love card. So I think we're going to start out with the true love card. I love this deck because it's they're big and there's not a lot of words on it, so you can really just connect with your intuition, see what image calls to you, and then explore from there. So that's how I do cards. Is really important to me that you connect with your own intuition, which is why I want you to start by connecting with what number you think is going to be meant for you. Number 1 will be an actual card, and number 2 will be an affirmation. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hold these cards, and I'm just going to ask you to just tell me when to stop.
Now.
I kind of wanted the lower one too.
Okay.
One.
Fine.
So I like them both. So the two cards that I picked when you said stop, so the bottom one when you said stop is this one. And the top one when you said stop is this one.
Wonderful.
So do you have anything as you're looking at this that really comes to the forefront of your mind? Especially I'm hearing some stuff in the background. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just life going on.
Does one really call you in more than the other?
Manifestation does.
Me too. I love that. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at this card, what do you see that really, so I'm asking you, and I'm also asking our audience, what do you see when you're looking at it? What's drawing you in when you're looking at her chakras that are available, her heart, her middle chakra, which is about power, and then her base chakra, which is really about your roots and feeling stable and supported?
I'm drawn directly to the middle chakra, to the citrine, to that yellow orange stone. That's calling me.
And if you had a message for empowerment or a mantra or something that you could give to those out there that maybe need it right now, what would it be?
You got this. You can do this. You have the strength. You have the power. Your inner goddess calls you to action, and you can do it. And you have the support of all of us as a helping community to help you achieve your goals.
Love it. Okay, I think that is so powerful. So for whoever chose card number 1, feel free to bring that in as really, truly a message for you. And then I'm going to do card number 2. I'm going to accompany it with an extra card, which is a goddess card. So this first card that I'm going to pull is, unless this one's really powerful, it might be enough but this is Power Thought Cards by Louise Hay, who passed away, but her work is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'll pull a card. So this will be for those who chose card number 2. Okay, it's I free myself and everyone in my life from old past hurts. They are free and I am free to move into new glorious experiences. Wow, that was so on point for our discussion. I'm going to do it one more time for those of you who chose that card number 2. This is really going to be that message that you need to hear. I free myself and everyone in my life from old past hurts. They are free, and I am free to move into new glorious experiences. Yeah, so I feel like when we are talking about divorce or leaving a relationship, it's really important to emotionally disconnect with love. I think the biggest gift that we can give ourselves is to not be controlled by the emotions that kept us in there. And after spending time with that, it is nice to be able to really let go of what you wanted it to be, what it could have been, what it should have been, and really step into, I let go of that. And I no longer let that cord connect to me and be a part of my daily experience, because your heart is the greatest gift that you have. And if this relationship or a relationship took almost everything from you, the one thing it will never take from you is your ability to love, your compassion. So I love that card so, so much. I'm going to leave it there.
What a great finale. That's just so, so touching. I would just like to reinforce that for those of you who are facing divorce, it's not only an end, but it's a beginning. I've been on both sides, and I've passed through the journey and found joy and love on the other side, and you can too.
Wonderful. Thanks again so much for being here today. I've enjoyed your energy and your wisdom. I hope you will come and join us again.
I'd be happy to.
Thank you so much for everyone who was able to pop in. I will see you next Wednesday. Wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. Big love. Bye-bye.
Bye now.